Hello and welcome, my name is Parky and today we're playing some more Spore. This episode of Let's Create is going to focus on one of your suggestions, which was Sackboy from LittleBigPlanet. Now LittleBigPlanet is a console exclusive game which was released on PS4 and actually I think they're still releasing them. I played the most recent one, LittleBigPlanet 3 recently, and I have to say it brought back some memories of the first game. But we're going to be carrying on with the Let's Build today, creating one of my favourite characters, one of the most famous characters, obviously being Sackboy. Right, so, what was all that ramble? We're going to go for a brown colour if we can find one. I think probably this is going to be a slight struggle. What would be the closest brown colour? I suppose it'd be in here somewhere, wouldn't it? Sort of like a light brown though, we don't want to go too dark. Something like this one. Yeah, okay. Oh no. Well, we can figure that out in a minute. Let's just start building Sackboy first of all. Now, Sackboy, for those of you who don't know, is quite literally a boy made out of sack. So we've got to go for sort of like a small body. We have to probably extend this up a little bit to do his head, but that's going to be cool. So what we're going to do is we're going to start creating some sort of neck here, if we can. He's got a fairly thin neck, almost no neck at all, actually. His body mostly merges in with his head. And we're going to rotate this a little bit back like this, and then make his body a little bit thinner, maybe cutting off the bottom of his body like so, dragging it down a little bit, and then making it just a bit more proportionately fat. He's sort of like Tubby. He's got quite a short body as well. Tubby with a big head. I think that pretty much sums up what I have. Okay, so let's now... God's sake. Let's now increase the height of this head slightly, because it's not a perfect circle, really. It's more sort of like a... slightly bigger at the top, but then it gets a bit narrower at the bottom. Or actually kind of doesn't. It kind of goes narrower in the middle, which I don't know how we're going to actually achieve that. I think we might have to sort of deal with having something like this, which I think seems okay. So I think I'm going to go for something like this as our starting shape. A bit of a plump little body with a large head. I think this is going to be one of those ones which looks better the more we go into it. So let's just get cracking and get straight in here. Maybe we'll make this a little bit fatter. Like that. Yeah, okay, that's fine. Let's not mess around too much with it. Of course, this is Spore, so you can't be too accurate with what you're doing. And I think because he is a sack creature, he hasn't got very much definition in his arms and legs. We could even go for something like a wizard sleeve graspers, just to make this a bit more cloth-like. And I think this would work in this case. So we're going to give him his shoulders, which attach in somewhere like this. The wizard sleeves just have more joints. So that's pretty much all the difference is. He's got quite short arms, so I think what we're going to do is remove one of these, make his arms a little bit shorter like this, and then he just needs some hands on top of that. His arms merge in quite nicely at the moment, so I'm not going to change that too much. That's pretty accurate. And then we're going to give him legs. In terms of his legs, they are literally completely straight, and they have what almost looks like no joints whatsoever. I'm thinking what we might try and do is replicate his feet by making his legs a bit wider at the bottom, but again, actually looking at this, it looks absolutely bloody terrible, so I'm not going to do that at all. We are going to do those, we're going to remove those, and just bring his legs down a little bit like this, because his legs, he is a sack creature, so he doesn't really have that many proper features. They're just sort of like stumpy little things that go like this. Actually, looking at this, it kind of looks like a real-life gingerbread man, doesn't he? Maybe we should have made the gingerbread man from Shrek. That would have been interesting. Okay, so let's move this down so it's at ground level. Something like that. Perfect. Now, how does his posture look here? Kind of looks a bit odd, doesn't it? I think the neck needs to be a bit thinner. Oh no, but that sort of looks then a bit strange, doesn't it? Okay, I think we're thinking about it too much. So we're going to go for this. And in terms of his feet, I'm not really sure whether we should give him any feet or whether this is going to be fine. I think this is probably okay. Sackboy does have hands though, and I think this is something that we do need to definitely give him. In terms of which hands we're going to give him, he's got 3 fingers. I think the default graspers are actually fairly accurate for that, so maybe we should have just kept those. The problem with all of the hands in this game is that they all look really creepy when you put them on. It doesn't even matter if they've got the right, they've got the right shape or whatever, they're always going to look really, really weird. I'm wondering actually whether we can give him fingers by expanding his arms with other arms. I don't think that's really possible, and it doesn't really look like it. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do is we're going to start working on his face, because his face is so adorable, oh my god, but it's probably going to end up looking really damn creepy in this. So Sackboy, he has button eyes, and I think these are perfect for his eyes, sort of in the middle of his head like this. And then in terms of his mouth, I'm not really sure whether any of these mouths are particularly suitable. We want that one that's sort of fairly happy. So I'm thinking about this. And we want it really to expand across most of his head, which again is going to look really, really terrifying. There's not that much choice in this game, so we're going to have to go for this. Which really doesn't help my whole effort to make this look realistic. So the eyes are going to be placed there like so. But aside from that, we really need to give him some hands actually, don't we? I was avoiding this, but I think these are the best hands that we can give him. And I think if we're going to give him these hands, we need to make his arms a bit shorter, his hands really small. But then the problem is they start looking a bit chimp-like, because he's got like fat rolls on his wrists. I think that's fine. And if we're giving him hands, I think, again, realistically, we need to give him feet of some kind. So maybe we'll give him... Maybe we could just give him like suction feet, but make them like really small, so you wouldn't even notice. This is looking nothing like Sackboy. I think we need to get away from reality giving hands and feet, and it strangely might have even looked better without the hands. So let's do that, because he is a sack creature, he doesn't need hands. Hands are so last year. I think as well it's going to help once we give him the texture, so bear with me. And of course one of the major features on Sackboy is that he has a little zip up the front of him. So I think the way we're going to do that is using these plates, because it kind of vaguely resemble a zip, sort of. When you line them all up like this, they kind of do. As much as you can, anyway. So let's now grab these, we're going to move them down into a little line like this, and then we're going to give them a bigger zip on top of this in a second. Tools are getting in the way slightly here, but it's okay. Okay, so we'll keep going right up to his neckline is where this stops. So let's just do another one of these, make it a lot smaller, and then move it down a little bit like that. And another one on top of that, make it smaller. Just shift it all the way up to the top of his body. Kind of looks like a zip. Again, you're going to have to squint very hard, but it's fine. Okay, and then after that, we want an actual zipper. So I was thinking for the zipper, there's always like a connector bit on the zipper, which goes at the top like this. Like so. And then after that, I don't think we need to make it much bigger, maybe just like that. And then we need something that's going to stick off of this, which is sort of like a square rectangular shape. I'm not sure how doable that actually is, but I think we can probably do something similar by doing this. Kind of looks like a zipper. I think we just need to move it about a little bit. Maybe rotate it up slightly like that. I think you're going to have to just take my word for it. Okay, so next up, what we're going to do is we're going to go for a base. We want something that looks fabric-like. Maybe something like this. That's sort of fabric-like. Sackboy himself, though, is sort of a woven fabric. Sort of like thick wool. Not sure if we can really replicate that in this. Something like that, I suppose. We need to change the colour. The colour is not right. I think the colour needs to be sort of a lighter, maybe a darker brown. That looks really terrifying. Maybe this colour? He's nodding in approval, but I'm not sure if I approve of this. I think maybe this colour is probably the closest we're going to get. In terms of the coat, I'm not sure if there's any finer details we could go for. If there's any sort of like just general vague texturing we could put on, that might be good. Maybe we could try out this. What does this look like? Oh god. Okay, well if we then make this a lighter brown, just very slightly lighter, might make him look a bit more textured, like a woven character. Yeah, I think so. I'm going to go with that. That seems good. And then in terms of the detail, I'm not sure what this is going to change, but let's just go for it. I think if it changes the plating at all, then that's going to be good. Yes, it does. Okay, so if we make this a really light grey, it might look like he's got metal front. Maybe this grey over here. I think that's pretty close. It's the closest you're going to get in this game. So let's now give him a little test run. Oh dear god, what have I created? This is a very vague Sackboy, isn't it? The way he walks is almost identical to the game. This is like a horrific genetic experiment gone wrong, isn't it? They've taken a monkey and then just removed all of its extremities. given it like a weird bone-plated zipper down the front and just removed all of its hair, but made him permanently happy, which is, again, just the most terrifying thing in the world. But this has been Sackboy. I think we need to give our character a good name. Sackboy, there we go. And the description, if you squint really hard, you can kind of see the similarities. I think that's being kind as well. Oh god, what am I doing with my life? Well, if you enjoyed this episode, then please feel free to leave your support in the comment section below with your ideas for the next time. Look at him, he's so happy. He knows that he was chosen by one of you to be built. Also, please leave ratings because that helps support the series as a whole. And subscribe if you haven't done so already. Thank you for watching. Goodbye, awkward, goodbye. Awkward.